I think you're muted, Theo. Oh, sorry, at least I can hear you.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. So, dear Study in Greece colleagues and friends, good morning and welcome to the fourth Study in Greece webinar of the Consulting Webinar series From Insight to Impact. In a world filled with complexities and contradictions, characterized by geopolitical tensions, disruptive technological advancements, and democratic shifts, the sector of higher education is deeply affected by a wide range of factors of this fast-changing world. In this demanding global landscape, Greek universities evolve, engage, and invest in internationalization. But in order to navigate this challenging and complex environment and turn the challenges into opportunities, we need expert insight, data-driven decisions, and strategic planning. Today, we're glad and privileged to have with us a great partner from a global leader of the field, Mr. Alejandro Blanco, Senior Sales Manager at Keystone. Keystone Education Group is a global leader in education technology, helping over 120 million prospective students annually find the right educational programs. With a presence in 190 countries and partnerships with over 5,500 institutions globally, Keystone offers comprehensive student recruitment and marketing services to enhance institutional outreach. With more than a decade of experience in international student recruitment and a deep understanding of both student needs and institutional goals, Alejandro specializes in innovative digital marketing and student engagement strategies that drive enrollments for higher education institutions worldwide. Today's session will explore the latest data and trends on international student interest in Greece, along with effective recruitment strategies to enhance institutional outreach. The webinar will also provide actionable insights on how to develop targeted marketing campaigns, streamline admissions processes, and create a compelling value proposition that highlights the advantages of studying in Greece. Dear partner and friend, thank you very much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Theo. That was an amazing introduction, and hope that I can live to the expectations for today's webinar. And big thanks, of course, as well to all of the colleagues at the Study in Greece team, as well as to all of the colleagues that are able to join us live today. As you said, we have a very close collaboration, both Study in Greece together with Keystone, and that's been ongoing now for many years. And we're very happy to see how these things are developing and progressing, and talk a little bit about the landscape and the bright future ahead for Greece as a destination and for all the Greek universities. So as you were mentioning, Theo, the goal for today is to talk about Greek institutions and how can we help with our data insights to give you more tips and tricks and valuable data to help and push for driving international students and enrollments to those Greek institutions. So as I mentioned, you did an amazing intro, but I'm just gonna do a quick one as well from my side. So as you said, Theo, my name is Alejandro, and I'm a senior sales manager here at Keystone. My role and the role within my team is basically to make sure that we are supporting, in this case, our Greek university clients, and that we are aligning our products and services with the needs and the goals for those universities. And before we dive in into the data, I just wanted to take a quick moment to also introduce Keystone for those of you who might not be very familiar with us. Every year, more than 70 million students, they find their education through our global network of student websites. And that includes search engines that you might have heard, such as Bachelor Studies, Educations.com, or masterstudies.com. We partner with over 5,000 institutions globally, as Theo mentioned just earlier. And in Greece, we work with 12 higher education institutions, which is a very good number. some of those institutions that we partner with could be the central department, but it could also be decentralized. And by decentralized, I mean we could also work just maybe with one faculty or with one department from that university. So we have the ability as well to adapt to the ways of working for universities. And sometimes we might want to work with one department that handles, let's say, all the international promotion and activity for the entire university. But also sometimes we might work just with one department or one faculty from a specific university. But whether that's centralized or decentralized, we're here to help, and we can adapt those ways of working and help universities in Greece to recruit students through our comprehensive student marketing, recruitment, and conversion services. Enough about me. Enough about Keystone. As I mentioned before, we're here to talk about Greece as a study destination and to provide with useful data insights and to all of the different Greek universities. I'm hoping that we're going to have as well some time at the end for questions. So if you have any questions, just feel free to drop those in the chat, and we will go through those towards the end of the discussion. Perfect. So let me just briefly start first by explaining a little bit our data sources and to provide some context to everyone joining us today, which I think is going to be helpful to understand the validity of the insights that I'm going to be sharing with all of you. So at Keystone, we have three main sources of data that we use to present these insights to universities. First of all, we have our tracker survey, which basically polls Keystone audiences and provides cycle-on-cycle insights. This data can stretch all the way back to 2021, and we collect around 8,000 monthly responses, and we're basically trying to measure the feeling, the sentiment, the intention, and the impact for students. This survey runs across our core platforms, including the ones that I mentioned before, Bachelor Studies, Master Studies, Education.com, but we also expand that to a group level. So we're able to include as well different websites that are as part of our ecosystem of the group, such as Find a Master's or even Find a PhD. So that's one part. Then we've got the second part, which is what we call polls, which is an action-based methodology that monitors the user behavior at a scale across our platform. So this helps us to capture over 5 million monthly search actions and activities from all of the audiences that are using Keystone. And that could include content pages or activities done on destinations, in this case, Greece, subjects, regardless of the traffic and the inventory that we have. And third of all, we also conduct a yearly survey of prospective international students that are interested in studying in Europe, with over 11,000 responses that we collected in our latest version. So this helps us to gain, again, a comprehensive understanding of student preferences and behaviors. So the goal for today is to be able to combine all those three different data sources and provide an overview as well on the country as a study choice, but also on the differences when it comes to each of the program levels. So let's get started with the bachelor level on recruitment in Greece. Let's have a little bit of a look at the current landscape of student recruitment in Greece. And as I'm presenting here on the slides, our data shows different key trends. We have observed significant growth in interest from markets or countries such as Russia, Indonesia, as well as various Western European audiences. When we look at the largest audiences that are interested in bachelor programs to study abroad in Greece, we see that the US remains by far the largest audience for bachelor level study through interest. It's slightly down if we compare the year-on-year trends. And then if we look on the right side of the screen, in terms of the subject areas, the top fields attracting international students at the bachelor level are archaeology, civil engineering, business management, construction, engineering, and history. So this gives us a really clear picture of the academic trends from Greece and how it's well known internationally. And it's a combination of different factors. So we're looking right now here at technical fields like engineering, but also together with cultural and historical subjects such as that can help us to really align with the strengths from Greece as a country and its rich heritage. If we scroll down and if we have a look at the master level recruitment in Greece, we've also identified some really interesting patterns here. There's a notable growth from Russia and Nigeria audiences at this level. These audiences are more interested in specialized field of study. So we're talking here different fields such as auditing, tax action, or international accounting. If we look at some of those top subject areas at master level, we have, for example, counseling, language teaching, sustainable agriculture, climate studies, and even tourism management. Additionally, financial specializations are particularly popular, including areas like auditing, tax action, as well as international accounting. So what's interesting here is how these differ from bachelor preferences to master preferences. And if we look at the master's level, we see more specialized career-focused programs, particularly in the areas where Greece has the emerging strengths like sustainable agriculture, climate studies, and tourism management. So really, really interesting data sets here. Now, we also wanted to provide some data on short courses. We know that there's a big interest, and there's a lot of new courses that are being developed from Greek universities, whether that's for summer courses or even winter courses. And we also see universities in Greece that are proactively wanting to promote those. So we thought it would be also important and interesting to give a quick overview on short courses and what are the trends there. So we have observed significant growth and interest from markets like Egypt, Germany, Romania, Russia, and Nigeria. Overall, the interest from Europe remains quite strong and quite stable if we compare the year-on-year trends. But if we look at the popularity from some of those short courses, we have seen that, for example, like pilot training, and specifically the 0 to ATPL is quite popular, followed by different arts and humanities courses as well. Some of the top subject areas for short courses include, as I mentioned, 0 to ATPL, so pilot training, Greek language, psychology, modern history, and even Asian history. So these really tell us a little bit more about the short courses in Greece and how it serves basically to different markets, right? We're looking at students that are looking for a specialized technical training like aviation, and then we have a separate group of students or a separate group of buyer personas that are looking more at the cultural, historical subjects that leverage obviously the Greeks' uniqueness and the heritage. So our data shows that there's also 51% of students that are interested in these type of courses are under 25. So it's a really young audience that we're looking in here, and an audience that is seeking to study those short courses either during the summer or during the winter time. I know it's a lot of data, and I know that it's a lot of different percentage that I'm showing and displaying. But yeah, hopefully so far the data makes sense for all of our attendees. So I wanted to move now into the next part of the presentation, which it's basically going to be covering the landscape of student recruitment in Europe. So we wanted to give an overview as well of not just Greece as a study destination, but also compare that on a European level and give us a little bit of context on that. So let's look at the broader European recruitment landscape. And just to start with, I wanted to mention that our data shows that 73% of prospective students wants to study in person, while 14% they prefer online learning. So that means that 13% are still interested in hybrid options, but it really demonstrates that despite the growth of online education following from the global pandemic, the vast majority of international students they still value the in-person experience, especially when seeking to study abroad. We've also found that 67% of students that are applying to 3 or more programs indicate a comprehensive landscape where institutions they really need to stand out. Competition is becoming fearless. It's growing, not just domestically speaking, but internationally. And we have identified some of those trends across the last quarters where where students are applying to 3+ universities, also across 3+ different countries. So when it comes to the some of those motivations for studying, we see that career progression leads by 46%, followed by qualifying for further study at 41%, and qualifying for a specific career at 35%. So this highlights the importance of different factors such as employability and career outcomes in students' decision making processes. Now let's talk a little bit about more about you. And when I say you, I mean about our attendees at the different Greek universities, because it is very important to make sure that we are doing our best in order to optimize the websites to boost the number of international students enrolled. So my goal over the next minutes now is to talk a little bit about practical strategies on how can we maybe help you improving those recruitment efforts, starting with your own websites. So first of all, let's have a look and discuss a little bit more about who are we trying to attract to bachelor's and or master degree program level at the Greek universities. It's Gen Z, it's Gen Alpha, and we know that these generations, they primarily view websites and emails on their phones. So they're constantly consuming information throughout the day by using their phones instead of their desktops. So it is vital that we ensure that your websites are fully responsive and that they're also student friendly. Second of all, focus on the outcomes. And this is more related to the content side of things, but in today's world, students want to see concrete information about graded outcomes, about salary data, and as well about career paths. And as what we have seen before in terms of the interest in those specialities, it's very, very strong in Greece. And this includes specialities such as auditing, taxation, accounting, and engineering when it comes to master programs, for instance, while students are still attracted to Greece for its unique art, humanities, and histories. It's important that we don't underestimate the appeal of a career-focused programs and making sure that this information is available and visible on your websites when students are seeking for that type of content. In third place, make sure that your websites can easily be found online. This happens with great SEO optimization, which is not easy. We are aware of that. And let's be real, many international students may not know yet what's your name and what's your program offering, or they might not still even think about Greece as an attractive study destination. So by listing your programs and institutions with Keystone across our websites, that can really allow you to reach those students that are still actively on the consideration phase. So we can help you redirecting those students either to your website or capturing their information across our pages. And finally, I just wanted to conclude this part by talking a little bit about inquiry, about lead form options. It is very important that universities are placing inquiry forms or chatbots directly on your program pages to increase the chances of capturing that student data. This brings me to a very important question that I want to open up here to our audience that we can hopefully discuss further later. But are universities in Greece using a CRM system? If not, this should be a priority investment to be able to track and to nurture the leads effectively. Luckily, if you decide to promote your programs with Keystone, you can also access a free tool called Smart Hub, which is our higher education CRM system that basically allows universities and obviously the colleagues working at universities to manage the nurture, the lead nurturing part from your side. All right, let's move into the next section, which is going to be focusing mainly on capturing the attention of the students on social media. I think that we all can agree the importance of being visible, of being present on different social media channels and having that omni-channel approach so that if students can kind of find you through A, they'll be able to find you through Z eventually. So as we know, it is crucial for reaching those generations that we're trying to target here, which in this case is Gen Z and Gen Alpha students. So our question again here for the audience is, are you already maximizing their impact? If you don't feel that that's the case, I'm going to share some tips and tricks that hopefully can provide with some valuable insights for your teams to take on board and maybe test and try some of these best practices. So first of all, prioritize short form content. There's platforms like the one that we're currently using, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram Reels, that are all based on short video content. And that is the center of your social media strategy. While beautiful pictures of your campus or study destinations might look pretty, younger generations nowadays, they are seeking for quick, catchy videos in order to learn more about your institution. And this brings me to my second point here, which is focusing on the authentic content, embracing imperfection. And I know that sometimes that can be a little bit hard to do because we all seek perfection at our jobs. It's part of the nature of what we do, of course. But I think that what really catches the attention of the new generations nowadays, it's the opposite. It's that imperfection is showing that realistic overview of how universities are, your campus, the day in a life of a student that is studying at this university, instead of having the highly produced content that maybe some years ago that was basically what it was working the best. So I think that today's students can spot overly polished marketing materials a mile away, and they tend to trust more authentic representation of universities. Thirdly, make your content interactive. It is important to try to engage as much as possible with your audience. Hopefully, that's what we're doing as well in today's session. But using Instagram polls, questions, quizzes about the student life, academic options to engage with potential applicants. Those are things that it is very, very important to utilize with the students while they're still on their active search and discovery phase. And again, like going back to the average number of applications that we see that students are doing when they're considering countries within Europe to study abroad, it is important that we emphasize and we utilize all of these USPs to engage with them and tell them to come to us instead of somewhere else. Remember, as I mentioned before, 62% of students in Europe say that their testimony of all their students influenced their decision on or where to study. And that's data that was provided as well by one of our partners, Unibody, and that enhances as well how important is that peer-to-peer element in today's international student recruitment efforts across any university within the country. So student-generated content is therefore invaluable to all of your efforts and strategies that you might want to consider to put in place. And finally, don't underestimate paid campaigns. While it might be very tempting to try and focus on reaching out to students organically or trying to go viral, targeted campaigns can be much more effective to recruit students and a better use of your team's time. It's setting up your own campaigns if that can feel a little bit overwhelming at times, or if you feel that you need help, Keystone can help with that. And our team of social media experts specialized in powering campaigns that can convert for higher education institutions globally. So don't hesitate to reach out if you feel that you need some help and support when it comes to that part. And now moving into the next part, which is focusing a little bit more on communication and what do we see that converts the best into applications. Let's discuss a little bit of those different communication strategies that we can effectively use to convert prospective students into completed applications. Our data shows that 72% of prospective students who want to study in Europe, they prefer to be contacted by email. That's the preferred communication source. However, we still see that 17%, we've seen a 17% increase in the interest of students that wants to be contacted by instant messaging platforms such as WhatsApp, as well as Facebook Messenger. When communicating with prospective students by emails, always try to avoid using only apply now as a call to action. International students are often not familiar with the admissions processes in Greece, and it might have more questions, and they might need a little bit more guidance before they are ready to apply. So instead, opt out for nurturing some different nurturing approaches. That it could be, for example, inviting prospective students to webinars that are featuring current students that are at your institution at the moment, using one-on-one consultations, that it's vitally important to make sure that they feel safe, that they feel that they have the tools, and they're also supported by the institution in this case. And that one-on-one consultation could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes, could be 30 minutes, but that can really put unlimited value on that decision-making process and consideration from students. And lastly, linked to virtual tours. When studying abroad, we always try to simplify processes, simplify the communication over the strategy, but it is such a big decision for students that are going to commit to 2-3 years or sometimes even longer journey, that for them to be able to visualize how is the campus looking, what am I going to be facing once I put my first step on the door. We can help those students by trying to offer these virtual tours and help them to visualize themselves being there already. It is also important to segment and to A/B test communications by region, because we do see that depending on different markets, depending on different regions, like the ones that we discussed in the first few slides, we should also try to tailor and target our content and strategy communication. For example, if you're targeting students in the US, you can include more information about visa, about degree equivalencies, or about research information. While maybe if we're trying to target the students from Indonesia or maybe from Nigeria, we might need more information about scholarships or about post-study outcomes. So do not forget to analyze which approach is working best, but also for the different demographics. And lastly, set up automatic workflows. If you work with the CRM, to do that, automation is key here. How can we do more with less time? This ensures timely responses while freeing up your team to focus on more complex inquiries and day-to-day tasks. In fact, a CRM like Smart Hub, the one that we utilize at Keystone, can help to reduce your manual workload by 70%. So that's always a tool that is available to use for our Greek university clients. Now, I know that we hopefully have some time for further questions. But before we go into the QA, I wanted to summarize quickly some of the main takeaways that I've been presenting from the presentation. We've seen that Greek institutions they continue to attract diverse international audiences with particular growth from markets such as Russia, Indonesia, or Western European countries for bachelor programs. There is an increased interest from Russia and Nigeria students at the master's level. The country's unique position allows to leverage both its technical strengths, but as well in some of the fields like engineering and the rich cultural heritage through programs in archaeology and history. If we look at the bachelor's level, we're seeing a strong interest in archaeology, civil engineering, and business management, while master's students are gravitating towards specialized programs in counseling, climate studies, sustainable agriculture, and tourism management. For short courses, pilot training programs stand out alongside Greek language and cultural studies. So just to capitalize on some of the trends that we've spoke about today, number one, optimize your website with mobile-first design, outcome, and content. And always try and make it easy for the students to be able to inquire and contact you directly. Number two, leverage social media through authentic, short-form videos content that resonates with Gen Z and Gen Alpha students. And number three, refine your communication strategy by using the rich channels, primarily email, but increasingly different messaging apps in order to create and nurture segmented content that guides the student through the decision-making journey. As we discussed before, the European recruitment landscape remains competitive with 67% of students applying to 3 or more programs. So standing out on inquiries or understanding your unique value proposition and communicating those effectively, it is key and vital nowadays. At Keystone, we are committed to support your recruitment efforts through our comprehensive suite of services for program listings on across our websites and to target social media campaigns, as well as providing you with access and different tools such as our Smart Hub CRM. So I do encourage you to reach out if you would like to discuss those more and see how can we help all of the different universities within the country to leverage on those tools and help you attracting more students. I know that I've been speaking quite a lot, so I wanna give the floor back to Theo, and of course ask to our audience if they have any specific questions that I can help with.
Huge thanks, Alejandro, for this comprehensive and insightful presentation. No, you were brief and concise and really comprehensive, and a coherent speaker, despite the fact that you're Spanish, right?
I know it's always a bit of a struggle. I tend to talk a lot and too fast, so I was trying to take a step back and forget that I'm Spanish for once.
Where are you based? Are you in Sweden, or because
exactly.
the headquarters of Keystone is in Sweden, right?
Exactly. The headquarters, official headquarters, is in Oslo, Norway. But then
Norway. Okay.
Yeah, so not that far away from us, luckily. But yeah, I'm based in our Stockholm office, and here we are about 80, 90 people employed. But globally, we are over 900 across all of the different office locations and different business units within the group. So it's it's become a very big company over the past few years, but still Oslo it's our HQ.
Mm-hmm. And you do have offices in the Americas, US, Asia, right?
Indeed. We've got different offices across Europe as well for some of our what we call our domestic teams. But the last 3 to 4 years, we have been expanding by acquisitions. So adding different companies and different solutions into our ecosystem that we're also based, as you mentioned, Theo, across the Americas and different parts of Asia. As well as obviously growing organically. So that's been sort of the path that the company is driving, at least for the next year, which is aggressive growth by the expansion and by keep looking for acquisitions, but also growing organically to improve our products, delivery, and our value proposition to universities as well as to international students.
Thank you very much for your general contribution to our efforts. So let's give the floor to the field, to our audience. We have a question from Melina Rampidou from International Hellenic University, who asks, we have a message from, good morning from Thessaloniki. The 73% of students who want to attend in person, as you mentioned, are undergraduate or master students?
That's a great question, Marina. Thanks for that. The data that we included there combines both undergraduate and graduate, but we do have the ability to tailor that data and provide you with the difference in between both. So if maybe that's something that you want us to look into for you, just please let us know, and we can also provide the data separately for bachelors as well as for masters. But the one that I presented was for including both.
Melina is asking because International Hellenic University offers a wide range of international English taught master's programs. That's why they are particularly interested in promoting effectively these courses. We have one additional question from Marios Koukounouras Liagis from National Kapodistrian University of Athens. Marios is asking, are there variations in the promotion of an online MA compared to an in-person MA in Greece, especially a master in education?
I mean, trends can differ if we look at fully on-campus taught programs versus fully online. We do have as well data sources that are specifically decided for online education. So in this case, we could potentially as well have a look at some of the different trends, especially for MA programs that are offered online, and then see how much that differs compared to the trends that we're able to display for a fully on campus taught MA program. But of course, it differs. I think that the appetite that we see overall across Europe, and this is obviously a big spectrum, is that students, they do still prefer nowadays that in-campus experience, but that doesn't mean that there's no market at all for online programs. In fact, there is, and we have seen that since obviously the global pandemic hit a few years ago. It's been a year-on-year increasing market, and also rapidly. So if in this case, I believe you mentioned it was Marius. If Marius would like a little bit further info and data on MA programs that are fully online, we could have a look at that and provide those insights for sure.
Very nice, thank you. Is there any other question from the audience? Please put your questions in the chat. I think that George has a question for you. George.
Yes, thank you, Theo. Because we are collaborating for a long time with you, Alejandro, we have many times asked you. You gave us a small cheat sheet for a program that will be wants to create its presence in in the internet, website, social media, etc. Do you have, I'm not sure this is something that is a single answer, but do you have a small recipe that you would suggest? For example, a department that has, let's say, English taught bachelor's programs, and it's the first year of that is available for students. What would you suggest as a Keystone Education Group representative is a good way to start? With your services, what would you suggest as, okay, you have a new program, we suggest this, let's start with this. Also, taking into account that, for example, new programs in Greek universities may not have an infinite budget that is available for them to do this kind of activities and ask for companies like Keystone services.
That's a great question, George. Thanks for that. And I think that just to address the first part, from our side, it's important to be flexible and to understand, as you mentioned, that resources might differ, but also they might be limited depending on case by case, but also depending on different countries. And I think that we would need to do our best to make sure that we're helping Greek universities, especially when it comes to launching those brand new programs that we know that are coming up this year for the first edition, right? So if as a company we offer a very comprehensive set of different solutions that goes throughout the different student journey. But end of the day, if I was to tick the box and pick and choose one, I would always recommend to start by listing that program or that set of programs across our platforms. So bachelorstudies.com and educations.com. The reason for that, and I understand that departments, faculties, and universities, or the people that are working there, they of course need to answer to their managers, and the managers to management, and management to the board. So it's we always have like this number, these goals and targets that universities they need to reach. And I think that where we can support the most those numbers is making sure that organically students are able to find those programs, that we can help those programs compete with other similar programs, not just in Greece, but across Europe and globally. So we have the ability to drive that organic value and results when promoting those programs. So that's obviously on the results part. Then second part, it's being able to identify a buyer persona for those new programs, right? So we can obviously give you the data and as much of insights as we can possibly do before programs are going to be launched. But end of the day, as soon as we start promoting programs, we have the ability to look at the demographics. We have the ability to look at the different age groups. How much time are I spending, on this content section for that specific program versus another content section? So all of those insights, which are very valuable to understand, okay, what is the audience that we are, hoping to attract for a brand new program? It's part of the service as well that we provide. And as I mentioned, we understand that budgets or resources can be limited sometimes, but we could always try and help as much as we can from our side.
Thank you so much.
It's so nice and encouraging for our work as studying Greece to see our audience engaged. Konstantinos Kormas from University of Thessaly is asking, are there any data on visa students acceptance from students from Russia and Nigeria? For example, how many they apply to how many they are approved. This is a very challenging issue. Visa in general, and that's why we are trying to work together with our diplomatic authorities abroad in order to resolve some issues that remain a problem. Because okay, we promote our programs, we can recruit students, but sometimes it's very, very difficult to enroll.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Theo. Now I'm going to take a little bit of example of Nigeria. I mean, it's one of the biggest markets globally if we look at the international student recruitment landscape. Now, that's also linked with like big volume. So normally, and we have different companies that are part of Keystone, and I'm going to mention one of them, Uniquest, where they are able to handle the data from first entry point to enrollment and beyond. We normally see that the conversion rates are low, maybe compared to other markets, but the volume that is driven by Nigeria compared to other markets is also much higher. So I think that there's obviously a lot of external factors that are sometimes away from the things that universities or studying Greece or Keystone can control. But if we look at maybe at some of those factors that we could potentially control, I think that with Nigeria, some of those like big volume markets, the most important part is to make sure that we can compete by optimizing things as much as possible, by doing more with less. Some of the tools that we spoke about before, how can you maybe even address Q&A sessions to specifically Nigerian students that are interested in studying there, using AI, using auto responses that can help to decrease the manual workload of activities and increase the success rate and improve those conversion rates. Specifically, we're talking about Nigeria.
Yeah, because even diplomatic relations affect recruitment strategies.
Indeed.
And I assume that other European countries face the same issues, right?
Yeah, indeed. And I think that with Nigeria, and last year we faced a lot of volatility in higher education industry, right? There was caps introduced by different countries or some of the big four. If we look at the numbers from Australia, UK, and the US, they went through challenges, let's call it, across 2024. And Nigeria, it's one of those countries where it's normally in the top 3 of student centers to the big four, right? So that means that if the students are not able from Nigeria to go into those, of course, they're going to look somewhere else. And I think that's where universities in Greece, as well as other European countries, can really get even more value compared to other years, because there's maybe also a need and a market share that wasn't there before. Where there's some struggles or where there's some challenges, others can win, and that's obviously something very, very important to discuss when putting those strategies together for prioritizing some countries over others.
Is there any other question from the audience?
No, only Melina would like the.
Only Melina Rabid would like the data that you were mentioning. We do have her registration on the website, so I will send you the list, and you can contact her afterwards after the webinar. You can reach out, Alejandro. Okay.
That's amazing.
Sorry,
George. I didn't want to.
Also, the presentation that you gave will also be available on the webinar page after the end of the webinar. That we will close the registration. We'll have the video available along with the presentation.
That's amazing. There was one more thing that I wanted to add when it comes to that data, and I think that our data insights team will be very happy if they hear this from me. But we basically launched about a year ago a new division within Keystone, which their main focus is to make sure that we are empowering and providing information to universities that are working with us, or maybe considering working with Keystone. So what I want to say is that the information that I provided today was a simplified version of a lot of different data reports that we can also gather for universities. And as we spoke about, I know that there's a lot of positive news in the Greek market with the launch of new programs, that proactive approach to also attract more and more international students to the country. So if there is any data that any university might need that I didn't present today, we can get that for you. Just feel free to reach out at any point, and we'll do our best to make sure that we can help at least with information and data to shape those strategies and to support universities in Greece.
I have one more question that can work as a conclusion in order to disengage Alejandro. In Greece, within the last 3-4 years, we're witnessing a paradigm change regarding internationalization. Can you share your perspectives regarding the potential of the Greek market, and can you also compare Greece to other emerging study destinations?
For sure. And I think, it's something that we've spoken about all three of us, right, over the last few months and years. And it's I think there's a clear vision across Greek institutions that they understand the value and how important it is to put themselves out there, to make sure that they are putting the programs and the visibility in order to capture and attract the interest from students. I think that the next phase, which is going to be very, very important to understand the results that Greek universities can gather, and also the competitive level among other markets, is how much can universities convert. And by that I mean, what are the tools available that universities can have in order to produce high volume of conversions and do, as I mentioned before, I don't want to sound repetitive, but do more with less. Automation, CRMs, increasing conversion into apps from inquiries, making sure that universities, they have lead forms across their websites. It's very challenging sometimes to be able to find forms that are placed on universities' websites. Therefore, it's hard as well for students to be able to contact the universities directly sometimes, right? So I think that phase 2, which it should be, okay, how can we funnel all of this interest and make sure that we are converting as much of that as possible, will really determine the levels of international recruitment that universities can do across the next years. But if we put Greece into the landscape and compare with neighbor countries, there's no reason why within the next years, at least from an appealing point of view, Greece cannot compete with other countries like Spain, Italy, France, and so on for that market share. It is possible, and we do see an increase of the attraction of Greece as a destination. That's obviously due to a lot of the efforts that you, Theo, George, and the rest of the team have been doing, for many, many years. But I think the next challenge, as we spoke before, is to make sure that universities can capture and convert as much of that interest into the next stages.
Yeah, it needs strategy and some advancements, and also engagement and organization within the universities regarding their internal structure and decision making. But we will do it step by step. And we have great partners, global leaders like you and your colleagues at Keystone. If we do not have any other question, we can conclude and close. George?
Yes.
I would like to thank you very much. We're grateful to you for this great cooperation. And I think that this cooperation will be more and more fruitful within the years to come. Thank you for today's presentation and conversation, which reflects your experience and expertise. It was really insightful and valuable for us. And have a nice day.
Thank you too. Thank you so much to you and to the team. And as you said, like, I'm very excited for the upcoming years, and yeah, to keep supporting all of you as well as the Greek universities in their mission to attract more students. So yeah, the future is bright. That's for sure.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Take care.